All right, welcome back, everyone. Here's my diorama of Daphne and Velma. Model credit to ES Monster. As you can see with this ash gray, I'm going to be working on the tombstones. And right now I'm applying a black wash, especially for the cracks in here, giving it a little depth. And I'm going to be dabbing with a paper towel, giving it that worn look. Same thing with the main tombstone, which is to scale along with Daphne and Velma. Going to be blotting that here very randomly, applying pressure in different spots. And I do this, of course, for all the tombstones, the sides, and in the recesses. And for the water spots, as you can see, I'm applying that after, and it leaves a little bit of outline, just like you would see in a tombstone or any kind of, outside where water accumulates and it kind of leaves a water spot. So I thought that was really nice effect there. And this is how it looks right here. And I'm going to be doing a little bit of dry brushing at this point. That lighter gray as I shown, and I'm just hitting the highlights there, just giving it a little bit of variation and a light source. It turned out really well. And I'm going to be doing the same with the bigger tombstone, focusing on the edges. Now I'm going to be working on Daphne and Velma themselves, the skin tones. As you can see, I already applied a zenithal highlight, use this violet red, it's a nice base. Doing the same thing for all the parts on them. And afterwards I'm going to be transitioning here to this red, and that's going to be on the underside in the shadow areas. And I'm using the fairy flesh set. I'm not really particular on this flesh set. I like the Vallejo flesh set as well, but it's what I have on hand along with the Vallejo, so I decided I might as well use it. And I'm just going to apply that here. And Velma and Daphne are, of course, fair skin, so I'm going to be applying some highlights to them as well. As you can see here, here's the fairy flesh, and now I'm going to start to build up some of those highlights, because right now they look a little muted, and so I'm going to be pushing some of those, working on the hands. And I don't show, every single section of Velma and Daphne, but I did apply this the same way to all of them. And right now I'm going to be doing some variation in the skin, some freckling. I put the Reichland Flesh Aid in, I put on a low pressure, and as you can see right there, it's very faint, but you can definitely see that there's variation in the skin. And of course, my highlight skin, I'm going to be applying that, and that's going to be blending in some of those freckles as well, so they're not so prominent. And this is one of Daphne's legs, and I'm doing that as well. And because I want to bring a little more life into it, I'm going to use this demonic yellow, and I really water this down. I'm spraying this from a distance. I'm giving it like a dusting, right? So also to keep in mind, I did use a No Man Flesh with a little bit of red mixed in it to go over in some of these shadowed areas. And right now I'm working on the glow effect of this spooky tree. I thought it was funny because, Velma and Daphne are, of course, based off a cartoon. Even though I made them look realistic, I still wanted a sense of a cartoony, funny. Even though the tree doesn't look funny, it's supposed to be a little play on the cartoon. And, of course, the scale is non-literal, so everything behind Daphne and Velma are intentionally smaller. So I'm putting this fluorescent green in here, and there's a lot of back and forth when it comes to making things glow, right? We're not talking about OSL. This is a single glow from the eyes and the mouth. So after that, I'm going back in with white because you want to highlight that. And then I go back in after this with a luminous green. I don't show it here, but you'll see right here, that's where the yellow green comes from. It's from a luminous green color. And then after the luminous green, as you can see here, I go back in with white again. It's a lot of back and forth process. If you have one airbrush, I suggest you save your paint in a little cup, a temporary cup, and just keep doing that. And right here, I apologize, it's so bright, but I do use that wood grain. This is the fence. It's very old, it's broken down, and there's a better shot of it right there. I'm still trying to work on the lighting and the camera angles, but I am putting this black wash here. This is for the weather effect. and it's definitely works for the creases and the cracks inside the wood. It does give it more depth, so that's something I was going for. And this burnt umber right here, I really liked it, and I know that typically these aren't really good for full coverage, but I do like using those paints for washes, and you can see the difference right there. And I do the same thing for the gates of the fences. I'm just applying that kind of just everywhere, just giving it a nice coat. And you can see on the right, that's why I asked, can you see the difference? It is very subtle, but it is there. And right here, I'm just putting a plain black. And this is just going to be the backer for the coarse silver that I'm using right here. And I wanted to use coarse silver because it's not full coverage. It leaves a little bit of black behind, is something that I was going for here, because this is supposed to be a very old gate. So I believe the coarse silver was a nice touch for that, as you could see right here. And now I'm going back, and I was trying to decide what kind of nails will they put in. Some copper nails, like, you know, how old is this fence? And I just said, you know, I'm just going to use some copper. And I think it turned out well. I think it does give contrast where I wanted it. And it's important to note that on the fence, you can see some highlighted spots. Those are from Iraqi sand. And I highlighted, I basically airbrushed that for those fences and for the gates. And right here, I'm working on Velma's skirt. And you can see the red I was using. And I apologize about the camera angle. Like I said, I'm trying to test and see what angles work well. And this is supposed to be, you know, sort of the overall color, but I do come in with a highlight of ball red, which you'll see later. But the Nolan oil I did put in the recesses, try to make some shadow areas within the skirt. And here's with the ball red. I think it complements it very well. So I do have the main color, the highlight, and of course the shadowed areas. And that's how it looked. That's a little bit better picture right here. I think it turned out really well. And for the stockings, I'm going with that orange here, just going for full coverage, and doing the same thing on Velma's sweater. Same exact process. I'm just going for full coverage. So now that that's all done, I'm going with this Troll Slayer orange. It is brighter, and these are going to be the highlights. They're very subtle, and later on I'm going to go in and push some more of those highlights, but you can definitely see the highlights based off the Troll Slayer orange. And here you can see the Jack-o'-lantern. This is just a cheap dollar paint, and these are really good for dry brushing. And as you can see, I'm just reiterating everything I already done with the Troll Slayer orange for the highlights. And you can see right here, definitely a difference from the overall color. And there you have it. Very subtle, but definitely noticeable. I'm going to be doing the same thing on Velma's sweater. Alright, going to be working on Daphne's scarf. I already did the Zenithal highlight on here, and this color is very vibrant. It's a very nice green, and it already did the work for me with the Zenithal highlight, but I am going to go and push some more shadows in with the Nolan oil. So I go in there very carefully and do that, and I honestly just put another little light green highlight on some of the top portions, but basically that was it. For this purple right here, I did this for full coverage, and it's a very nice purple. Same thing with her outfit, did the same thing. Now, because her top is opened, I had to use another color for that. I saw in the reference photos that was white, but I wanted it to be a little bit more lavender, so I mixed that original purple with a little bit of this taro and a little bit of white, and that's how I got that inside of the top, that color. But for right here, this is what I did for the highlights. I think it looked really nice. You could definitely see the color, especially in the light. So nothing special here. I'm going to be working on her zippers, and this aluminum color is going to fit the bill. So I just carefully go and just paint every single zipper. Now, the supports did damage some of the zippers because these are so small, but it's not really a big deal. Going to be working on Velma's hair now, and this is going to be the darker color. You can see the top of her scalp where the part is. I made that darker as well. So I wasn't going for full coverage, but now with this lighter brown I am. And because I did the darker brown first, it's going to show through a little bit, right? There's going to be variation in her hair. Alright folks, that's it for the video. Here's the final portrait. I know I didn't show too much of it during the process, but I hope you still enjoyed the video and found something valuable in it. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, whether there's something you like to see more of, or if you think I'm on the right track. Your feedback really helps me improve. And if you think the video earned it, a like, a share, or even a subscribe would mean a lot. Up next are the glamour shots. Thanks again for watching and take care.